Oh my gosh, guys, my garage is a freaking mess. I'm sorry about that. As some of you might know, K-pop, especially kind of focusing around the group BTS, Korean culture busting its way into Western culture is at a peak yet again. So with that in mind, I'd like to break into the hype, kind of get a little bit of slice of that for myself and talk about the fact that idols or K-pop stars, they don't just focus on physique. They're not one-trick ponies. They train literally everything. They engineer, they're lab grown to be the perfect specimen. Now, granted, the application is gonna be for the stage, gonna be for the music producing booth, gonna be for dancing, but we can really carry over a lot of those similar philosophies to have some practical takeaways for our lives, but they consider everything. Their body, their style, their skin, their presence, their discipline. A lot of the cornerstones that really make a man stand out, that make or break a man. So for the last 30 days, honestly, probably more, I've tried to live like one in some ways. Okay, so before the glow up, before the kind of K-pop star focus glow up, I was inconsistent. Working out without structure, I was changing my split probably every other week and changing whether I was bulking or cutting every other week. It's just I was spinning my wheels for literally years on end. I was dressing fine, inoffensively, no structure at all, no focus to it, no bigger picture in mind, and I wasn't really dressing for me. I never took the time to explore what dressing for me looked like or what I wanted it to feel like. Honestly, I just didn't feel sharp. I felt really unfocused. So I asked myself, what if I treated my life, what if I treated this glow up, this rebranding this year, like an idol trainee views theirs? Breaking it down and isolating the areas of improvement that I wanted into pillars of fitness, of grooming, of style, and of discipline, routine, and making it stick. When you're able to map things out, you're able to eliminate the shortcuts, all the guessing, all the guesswork, and you can simply inject structure that you just follow. Now for my brain, following steps and like doing a thing, doing a task, that really clicks with me, and I get a big dopamine hit from it. And so when I have to spend energy on like, okay, I did a thing, that feels good, but now I have to research and figure out what the next step is and like what the best way to optimize it is and like what the alternatives are and like what might even be better. And am I just wasting my time on like thinking that this is the right thing? All that momentum that I've gotten from step 1A eliminated by decision fatigue, analysis paralysis. Okay, so we're gonna start by looking at the routine. We're looking at prioritizing discipline over motivation. And we're gonna break down the routine into a few categories here. Talking about the morning routine, the sleep hygiene, as well as removing bad habits. The key elements here are to wake up early enough that you can beat the distractions in your environment. So for me, I'm a father, I'm a husband. Distractions exist pretty early on in the day. And most days, I don't wake up early enough. I'm gonna be flat out honest. But on the days that I do wake up before the whole house, I notice something very different and very unique, that I'm able to tap into my faith life, my spirituality, and prayer in a way that I can't when the kid is running around, when the wife is hoping that I'll make her coffee. Getting up in the morning on your own terms before you can be distracted, I think is just so huge. And that includes your phone. So take it into your context, figure out what that looks like, what time that would probably be, and then make it repeat, and then try and make that repeatable. The next thing we're focusing on is training either early in the day, ideally, or just making sure that time is scheduled. For me, I train best in the mid to late day. So usually like after work around 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. And it's because I've had some food in me. When I train fasted, my lifts suffer. And when you're on a training program where you're lifting 2 to 3 times a week, especially, you really want to make sure that you attack each session with 100% strength and that you can burn it down and give enough resources to push very hard. And it's hard to do that when you're training fasted. So for me, just making sure that training time is consistent throughout the week and at a certain time of day, making sure that it's built in and that you're not going to come home too tired. The last thing is recognizing that the evenings are the danger zone. For me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but my willpower dwindles throughout the day. And some of the vices that I fall ill to of alcohol, of doom scrolling, of being just lazy and not wanting to really do things around the house. And like when I get home, I'm like, I did my work, so now I'm just gonna hang out and relax. Being able to recognize that that's a vulnerability point and finding ways that you can combat that, whether that be checking in with a friend, with a close family member, with a loved one, and just talking through your day, talking about the stressors, talking about the decisions that you had to make, breaking down kind of the harder points of your day, but as well as like taking the space to hear that from someone else's perspective, like hear the hard things from someone else's day. I think that's also huge. To put in perspective your problems and the things that you're working through and to make it just not feel like it's all about you, because life really isn't all about you. Also realizing that, like, hey, there are things you can actively do, like hydration. I take saffron at around like 2, 3 p.m. so that it kind of becomes on board for me later in the evening when my brain needs a little bit of an extra boost. Like that. There's so much more I could dive into with the morning routine, and maybe one day I will make a video kind of touching on that, but not today. Next up, and probably the most visceral, visual, obvious thing for the idol transformation is going to be talking about the body, the physique. And ultimately, strength training is hugely important, but I wouldn't say that like you need a 5-day-a-week program. I think if you're going for that specific look, doing a 2 or 3-day-a-week, 20 to 40 minutes per session is more than enough. I think sometimes that archetype, that aesthetic tends to borderline on the twink look, and not in a bad way. Like, it does look good, especially when you throw on the right outfits. Like, fashion is just really oriented towards that build. Making sure you're training with intention, keeping it brief, but also pushing intensity. And then targeting the muscle groups that you want to really focus on and grow. Like the shoulders, huge. The arms, very, very huge. That's a massive focal point you'll want to work on. Comes to the back, focusing on the lats and the width, not necessarily the thickness that you get from rows. So prioritizing pulling movements as opposed to rows or deadlifts and thickness building movement. When you're looking at the chest, really focusing on the upper chest, because when you target the upper chest, you are absolutely going to stimulate the kind of middle portion of the chest that builds out the meat. So it's kind of 2 birds with 1 stone, and really thinking about how you can train smart, but more importantly than that, focusing on training hard and really pushing it during your workouts. Because if you're gonna skimp out on the time that you're giving it and the volume that you can give it each week, you cannot afford to wuss out on the intensity. Another massive one is gonna be getting your steps in, because being lean is law with all of this. To get the face card where you want it, to get the abs where you want it, everything really comes down to just being lean, being between 9, 10 to 12% body fat. I do think that 15 is a little bit too much, especially for this look. Another pretty crucial aspect of it is going to be the style and the grooming phase. I think those two can kind of wedge together, because they're something that you can do immediately. Like the gym, the discipline, the building a routine, the removing bad habits, that takes time. But style and like the buying clothes and doing things to your face, that can happen instantly overnight. That's something that you have an instant return on your investment. My ass really hurts from sitting. Oh, been sitting forever. Lord, can I just stand over here and do the rest of the video? I think this is really where most guys tend to fall. They can lock in and they can get a really solid morning routine in, a good evening routine in with sleep hygiene kind of built in. They're wearing the red light, the red lens glasses. They're not having 6 to 7 drinks a night. Like, you're able to control the bad habits, and the vices are under control. You're able to lift 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 times a week if you're really pushing it. Life is just kind of clicking. But where it always seems to fall off is with the style and with the grooming. That is the meat left on the bone. That's the last 10% that you can do to really elevate your game. And it's arguably the most standout part that idols and the Korean kind of culture really focuses on. So it comes to very intentional outfits. It comes to layering, which becomes harder the later that we get into this season of spring and into summer when it gets hot. And there are things we can absolutely do to still maximize style, to still put that shit on when it gets hot outside, which we can talk about later. Accessories, that's so huge. The earrings that you wear, the necklace that you rock, the rings, of course. I have a couple stacked up here. The tattoos, the wallet chains, you know, the watch and the wrist bracelets, that's what they're called. And then skincare basics, cleansing at least once a day. Typically preferred at night. If you're more acne prone, do it twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. If you're fine with like acne and you're not oily, you can just get away with rinsing off with water in the morning and doing a shower or something, and then making sure that you're using a cleanser at night. Depending on what your skin type is, you might want to look into what would be the best kind of cleanser for you. For me, I use a salicylic acid based cleanser for acne, because that's something that I have always struggled with. Making sure that you're moisturizing for sure twice a day, something light, non-comedogenic, as well as using a mineral-based sunscreen to protect your face from the UV rays and the harmful stuff. What I do is I wash twice a day with that salicylic acid cleanser. I'll throw on some toner. I'll do some gua sha for lymphatic drainage. I'll put on a salicylic-based moisturizer, And then I'll throw on some BB cream, which is kind of a 3-in-1. It moisturizes, it is sun protective, so it has SPF. And then it also is like a very, very like non-makeup makeup in a way. So don't get caught using this because then you'll be gay. But I mean, additionally, like you can get tinted sunscreens. That's typically the best thing to do because most mineral-based sunscreens are they're natural and they're good for you. They're not chemical-based, but they do tend to leave you looking pretty white, a few shades whiter than your actual skin tone is. So if you're gonna go that route, you need to go mineral-based. And if you're gonna go mineral-based, you should probably go tinted so you don't look weird. And if you're gonna go tinted, I just was like, okay, I got blemishes. I want something a little bit more corrective, so I might as well go BB cream. At night, I mean, I'm rocking like the blue light and the red light face mask. Makes me look like an alien, but you guys don't have to be doing all that. As of tonight, I have been rocking the peptide GHK-Cu. So that is a very new thing, which allegedly will help my skin elasticity, collagen production, firmness, scarring, all of that kind of stuff. I can report on that later on, so we'll see if that works. All right, so did it work when it comes down to it? Now, I'm not saying that I did this for the external. Well, I kind of did. One thing that guys just don't ever get is compliments. Men don't get compliments unless it's for their car, their watch, or like their shoes, maybe. But for me, ever since I've gotten very lean, which I guess very would boil down to maybe 9, maybe 10% body fat. I'm trying to push it down to 8%, get there slowly. The body just doesn't want to move the needle, essentially, AKA my food cravings. But ever since doing that, ever since getting the skincare routine dialed in a little bit better, and then focusing on the style. And then also, quite honestly, just getting like more tattoos than I've ever even considered, that my mom would ever be okay with. I've gotten so many compliments just from random people out and about talking to people. Now, I think my confidence too has given me this extra boost to where I can interact with people and not feel like I want to escape that interaction as soon as humanly possible. Like I'm okay with like sitting in a conversation with a stranger now. So this has defeated my social anxiety and my autism. One thing that you can't see that I'm not sponsored by Scentbird or anything, but like guys, come on. These are like my kind of go-to signature scents. Don't sleep on what you can't see. Don't sleep on what the nose can see, what it will pick up. Because if you smell like shit, you're done for. Because you'll be smelt before you can be seen sometimes. Like someone's back might be to you. You're like, oh Lord, what's that smell? Oh Jesus, that's you. And then it's over. It's over. The first impression happened before the first impression. And I think to the point of doing all these things finally made me feel okay. It did affect the way that I showed up in the world, of eye contact, of posture, of tonality in the way that I speak, how fast I speak, the filler words that I do or don't use, the way that I move, whether it's slower or faster and more confident in nature. But honestly, I think this has been a fun experiment. I'm not done because I think I'm very committed to this look. I'm very committed to the kind of edgy Pinterest Asian dude aesthetic at this point. I mean, I'm not going to get my tattoos removed. I'd prefer not to get fat. I love doing the Korean perms and getting my hair like cut on a consistent basis finally, instead of just getting a freaking buzz cut and looking like a potato. So I've flown too close to the sun and now I can't go back. And if I let my foot off the gas, I'll just go back to being chopped. And I don't want that to happen. And so now we are in the physically easy to do maintain season, but mentally difficult because I'm not going to be seeing the results. I'm just going to be seeing the same thing in the mirror for hopefully the next like 30 to 40 years. But did I become a K-pop idol? No, I can't dance, dude. I can't dance. I can kind of sing. I did, however, become sharper. I became more refined. I became more confident. I feel like I know the discipline that I have, the discipline that I've built. It changes a lot of things for me. It changes my life in a way. Now, I want to be very clear, like focusing on your looks, on the way people see you, on your lifts, on these kind of Korean-based glow-up tips. It's not going to give you lasting change. It's not going to actually move the needle. I think for me, what really has been my faith, my relationship with Christ Jesus, and putting my faith and hope and trust in something far greater than myself. So I would encourage you guys to maybe think about that too. Concurrently, as you're working on like making this year your year, getting lean and getting in the best shape of your life, focusing on style, but also focusing on like what what's the condition of your heart and your soul? Like, where are you at? So I just encourage you guys in that note. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had at least one cool takeaway from this video. I love you guys. Maybe we can talk more about like the Asian focused content. Sometimes I feel like a imposter with that because I am Korean. I'm 100% Korean according to 23andMe. Part North Korean, part South Korean, mostly South Korean. But I am adopted, so I don't speak Korean. I don't have Korean family that I know, and I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, but yeah, we'll see you later.